The world of To Be Hero X is one where the amount of fans and followers you have is translated into superhuman abilities. Upon the power of the... Wait, we already did this one. Okay, y'all get the gist. To Be Hero X Season 1 has just come to a close, but obviously some of the story arcs were better and some were not better. Today we will be answering the question of who had the best story arc in To Be Hero X. So hello everybody and welcome back to the ultimate tier list. Oh, hey. Here, I was hoping to find you before the video started. Here, let me pull you aside here real quick. Really? Really guys, the one video that's only 9 minutes long and YouTube had me destroy a third of the audio on is my most viewed video. Those 4,000 hours of watch time are not coming anytime soon. See, not even Blank is impressed. Then again, when is he ever? Anyways, while Blank grabs today's video, I want to thank these lovely friends. YouTube apparently features the most active community members, so from now on, I will be giving these guys a special shout out, or just whoever takes their spot. And as always, if you want to be featured, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment. I am still on the grind to become the Hero X of YouTube, so when you subscribe, it boosts my trust value. I then get the magical ability to make money. Who am I kidding? Oh yeah, and stay tuned to the end because I have a special announcement. I found your video. Oh, thank you, Blank. Alright, enjoy the ultimate tier list. Let's make something abundantly clear. No, I am not on anything. No, I'm not mentally ill. And no, this is not actually F tier. Listen. If I let this man back onto any tier lists in the future, he will be taking the #1 spot. I am physically incapable of putting him any lower. So to combat that, I'll be taking your advice from the last video. So X is going in X tier. And yes, for the record, the X episode goes fucking bananas, and I've watched it more times than I care to admit. So, alright, going into E tier, we have Dragon Boy. In all actuality, I thought the Dragon Boy arc was going to be absolute cinema. His origin definitely painted him like a character similar to Garo from One Punch Man. Like he wanted to be a villain to be able to destroy the trash people. Love that. Except that is not what happened. Literally as soon as his arc starts, we see that Dragon Boy is 100% willing to call anyone and anybody trash. He is immediately ready to obliterate Queen and Cyan to steal their rank, just for the love of the sport. Ironically, Queen and Cyan are literally two of the few characters that can be considered true heroes in this story. If Dragon Boy was like Garo, he would literally be an S tier no matter how much of an op he was. I think villains like that are extremely dynamic characters, but if Dragon Boy tried to do that, he failed miserably. So, E tier. Alright, starting D tier for us is going to be none other than Ahu. This is nothing really against Ahu, and I actually liked his story quite a lot. The fact that Bilibili changed the animation style a third time literally blew my mind. All things considered though, he got one episode in the grand scheme of things. His story needed to have time to arc for it to be considered a great story arc. And unfortunately, he just wasn't allocated that time. Nothing against him in terms of his actual story arc, it's just that his story didn't particularly interest me, nor did it have time to. I do give him a D tier instead of an E tier, just because I don't mind Ahu as a character. Dragon Boy I like as a concept, but not the actual way that he's written, and not his arc. So Ahu will be in D tier. Alright, next in D tier we have Queen. I love Queen. She is easily one of my favorite characters in the show, which is why this is literally heartbreaking to do. She got done extremely dirty in her arc. It really felt like the whole point was just to humble her for no reason. Queen is an absurdly broken character, and with that should come an equal amount of progression and growth and reason for us to care. The only reasons I like Queen is because of her design, her aura, and this trio. Anybody who didn't know that Queen was that bitch going into this does not have as good of an impression of her. Also, time for me to rant. Yo, why was Queen literally useless in her arc? I made a short about this a while back, but during her fight with Boa, she was getting dogged on for no good reason. Queen had every right to demolish her without so much as a scratch, and she got left like this? Huh? Also, love how she does this in the middle of the fight. Yeah, this fucking death beam that she can just casually use could have been used at any point during the fight, but okay, cool, yeah, time to never use that again. Or how about this scene? Queen lets the villain do at least 9 separate 9/11s for no good reason. She could have stopped these missiles from hitting these buildings with literally zero effort. But no, why would she? And I want to be clear, this isn't beef with Queen, because again, love her to death. But the writers did her dirty in her own arc. So she is going to go in D tier. Moving on to C tier, we have Lolly. Lolly, I'm not going to lie to you, has a pretty good arc. But in my opinion, it was just okay. If you are a Lolly fan, this is no hate to you. I actually started loving Lolly after her D1 crash out behavior because Damn. But I digress. I personally think this one didn't hit as hard because it had a little bit of a rough start. In the show, a lot of the best characters start out from tragic origins and have more underlying issues and troubles that lead them to where they are today. Lolly doesn't really get that setup. Her arc for the most part is just her playing hero until she ends up rolling with the heroes like a G. Not a bad character in any way, not a bad arc in any way, but personally just not the biggest fan of it. Alright, next we have... Okay, you can do this. You can do this. Hold on. Okay, in C tier, we have not Ghostblade. Ghostblade is one of my favorite characters in the show. Actually, for those interested, here's my personal list of my favorite heroes. Feel free to comment yours because I am very interested in seeing a war erupt. Ghostblade, while being one of my favorite characters, simply just doesn't get enough. His concept was a phenomenal starting point. Him having killed Sheng adds so much more drama to the story. The stalker thing with his daughter? Sure, it was a little weird, but he's trying his best, okay? Ultimately, though, we just don't get to see inside of his mind enough when things are actually unfolding. And by the time everything is actually settled, he's basically just out of the story. Like many others, Ghostblade was certifiably robbed. Huh? Oh, don't mind me. Ghostblade is an, C tier. Yeah, C tier. Alright, moving on to B tier, we have the Johnnies. It may be a little bit of a far cry from my last ranking of the Johnnies, but I will take this time to tell you that I love the Johnnies character. This man needs to be protected at all costs. Honestly, I feel like his arc is really underrated since it kind of just got snuck in there at some point. The Johnny story arc is heartbreaking and also very sweet. And also very heartbreaking. I feel like there's nothing about the story that doesn't interest me in this character. He has the perfect blend of character growth, mystery, and drama that makes his story really compelling and more so him as a character. If you hate the Johnnies, the devil called, and he wants to fuck. That's completely unrelated, but he might do that, so just be careful. Again, he kind of also gets robbed because after his backstory, his arc slows down a lot. And he kind of just becomes a part of the story and not really a participant of it. So, he's our only B tier. I am obligated to put Lucky Cyan in A tier at the very least. Why? Because, well, my favorite color is actually cyan. You think it would be blue, but I've actually always loved the color cyan. I mean, not that Lucky Cyan is actually cyan, but the point still stands. And also, I guess because... Listen, a Cyan musician kind of hits all of my soft spots, okay? I do also believe that Cyan was one of the characters that got most aptly represented in her story. Her arc is a little underwhelming at times for sure, but in my opinion, it's a really cute story. Sad, but also extremely heartwarming. You also cannot convince me that there isn't a love story here. Who said that? Well, you might have thought it was me, but it was actually blank. Kill yourself. So, Lucky Cyan is held back from S tier simply because I wasn't 100% on it. Great story, don't get me wrong, but it does occasionally have its kinks and wrinkles that tend to show. Not enough to make it a bad arc, but just enough to keep it from S tier. Alright, starting off our S tier, we have E-Soul. I loved the E-Soul arc. I don't think I've ever known the true definition of a love-hate relationship until I knew E-Soul. Like, no matter what, I can't deny that he looks cool as all fucking get out. Like, E-Soul has some goddamn aura. But seriously, fuck E-Soul. Like, he killed Moon, and I was like, how dare? And then we got the E-Soul arc, and I was like, damn, I'm sorry, E-Soul, I didn't know it was like that. Then he completely noped out on the girl he let his friend get shot in the head for. Yeah, conveniently fumbling the bag on Sheng Chao because they like the same girl. And then he leaves her ass. I guess it's kind of like he's choosing revenge for Sheng Chao over the girl since he messed up the first time. You know what? Sure, I'll let it slide. Even though Rock was playing you like a damn fiddle, I'll let it slide. Not your fan, E-Soul, but you know what? I can... You threw hands with Ghostblade? Hell nah. Now it's hands up with me, motherfucker. I can understand if you like E-Soul to some extent, but for me personally, I cannot forgive this behavior. That being said though, his story arc was a banger. Both of the 3D arcs were amazing. Although he is on thin ice, scratch that, he's on thin air, E-Soul's story was beautiful, sad, and most of all, a goddamn roller coaster. Watching this story arc definitely solidified me into the To Be Hero X fandom. If I'm being completely honest, it does speak for itself. Wanna know what else speaks for itself though? Alright, top of S tier is going to none other than Lin Ling, or Nice, I guess. This story arc was a complete banger. I literally have no words, because it should be obvious how much of a banger this arc was if you've seen it at all. I'm pretty sure I've watched it 4 times by now, at the very least. The animation, the story, everything, man. It's just beautiful. It was so good that it literally has Lunling at the top of the fandom polls right now, even beating out X. Does this mean that Lunling will be stronger than X in the tournament? You tell me. But there is a reason why they started out with the Nice/Linling arc, and that is because it is absolute cinema. And in my opinion, immediately puts To Be Hero X a step above 90% of all of their animes. Alright, so that's the To Be Hero X story arc tier list. But before you leave, I have some announcements. Now that To Be Hero X is officially over with the first season, I'm going to be stepping into some other anime's content. And also, since we're finally getting up to the release of Pokemon Legends ZA, you'll be seeing that on my channel as well. Secondly, do you guys know this song? Probably if you've watched my shorts, and a lot of you guys ask me what this song is, but I always forget to mention to you guys that I make music. If you were ever curious why there's 2 channels listed on my page, that's because this one is my music channel. The outro song that I play at the end of my videos and the short song are both made by yours truly. And while this one is actually a real song, this one hasn't been released yet. But today, that changes, since for the first time in forever, I actually am releasing an album. So if you want to hear this song and more, there's going to be a pre-save link in the description. When you click it, it should give you Apple Music and Spotify to listen to it on. But if those aren't your cup of tea, again, it's always here on YouTube. The album is actually inspired off of one of the 3 mangas that I'm making. And yes, I'm also making 3 mangas. I do a lot of stuff. So listening to the album or watching my videos generally helps support my dreams. And even if it's just the former, I still always appreciate having you guys around. Alright, looks like there's nothing left to be said. So with that, I bid you peace, my friend.